Yesterday was the end of National Signing Day. A couple of questions out there. One of them was Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, who in the recruiting cycle now, the portal cycle, went out and got Walker Howard, five-star guy with a lot of years left, to come join Jaxson Dart in the quarterback room. Then he also got Sanders from Oklahoma State with 1 year of eligibility left, a 4-year starter to come to his quarterback room. Lane got asked about adding 2 quarterbacks in the portal this offseason.
Can you kind of take us through the decision to bring in those 2 guys? And is this an open quarterback battle again?
Yeah, I'm very excited about the quarterback room. I was very concerned about it from just pure numbers. You guys could figure that out. And my job is to put together the best roster every year. And, you know, we had a chance to bring these 2 guys in. I think Jaxson did a lot of great things last year. I know Jaxson, if you think about when he initially played versus the middle and end, dramatically improved for a young quarterback. We're very excited about him continuing that. And we were able to add 2 guys, one more of a veteran, kind of if you look at the NFL model, you know, a veteran free agent quarterback, and then a really young one, more of a draft pick. So the quarterback room is dramatically in a much better position than it was a year ago, and that's really our goal with our whole roster and every position every year is continue to improve it, like we talked about, what goes out versus what comes in, and trying to win that battle. So that'll be very exciting to see those guys develop, and to also, you know, work with the young one too.
Yeah, that's true. Your job is to bring in the best talent, and he has improved that quarterback room. But does he have a guy that is going to be a starter, a guy who's going to stay and be a backup, and likely a guy who's going to hit the portal after spring practice?
Now you're going to have 2 guys that are going to hit the portal after spring practice.
I don't know that you, but again, we go back to this. I'm not sure you can, because Dart, if he hasn't graduated, has already used his free transfer. He'd have to get a waiver, and maybe he will. Sanders, you know, is not going to, because he just transferred in. It wouldn't make any sense.
Unless he's a grad transfer.
Unless he's a grad transfer. And Walker Howard can't do it because he just used his free transfer.
Yeah, I do think Sanders is a grad transfer.
Yeah. But I'm just saying it doesn't make sense for him to transfer in, go through spring, and then transfer somewhere else. I mean, at some point, you got to see it through if you're him.
Again, all of these guys have got egos, so all 3 believe they're going to be the starting quarterback in Oxford next year. We know there can only be one guy. I still lean Jaxson Dart is going to be that guy. Hadn't seen enough of Walker Howard. I think Spencer Sanders is a good quarterback, but we've kind of seen him top out. I don't think this is going to be a situation where we saw Hendon Hooker come from Virginia Tech to Tennessee and just blow it out. I lean Jaxson Dart's going to be that guy. These other 2 guys are going to be really unhappy. I don't really blame Lane. You've got to bring in the best and figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you're still okay if it's Dart and then eventually Walker Howard, who has a lot of eligibility left. Like it'd be Dart maybe to the NFL, or Dart for 2 years, and then you bring in Walker Howard. Sanders is the one that doesn't seem to fit the piece unless he wins the job and he's your number 1 guy next year.
Well, I mean, is there a chance? Do you think this drags into the season? I mean,
could,
because a lot of people said yesterday we were talking.
If I'm Lane, real quick before you get to your point, I think I would let it drag into the season, or at least up until it.
But there were people yesterday in the chat room that said I gave them that win at Tulane way too easily when we were discussing Ole Miss. I can't even remember why we were looking at their schedule.
Well, their running back is gone. The Tulane running back is gone. He's going to be still in the draft for somebody.
Spears is out now.
Yeah, their quarterback. I
think
assume
Pratt's
he's
back.
He didn't transfer somewhere else. He's back.
I think so.
Okay, so he's back.
They lost a coordinator, right? They lost their defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator Hampton went to Oregon. He's with Dan Lanning at Oregon.
Yeah, so they open against Mercer. A lot of leeway there to do what you need. But at Tulane, people said, hey, at Tulane, Ullman Stadium there, it could be a tough place to play.
Right. You don't just walk into Yeoman Stadium.
Don't. You gave them that win too easily, and then hosting Georgia Tech. That does, to me, seem like you've got some games where you can get it right. But you better get it right then, because your next 2 are at Alabama and hosting LSU, which are probably next year the 2 best teams in the West that you got coming at you back-to-back there.
Now, the other thing that Lane was going to be asked about was Pete Golding. But before we get to that, can I just get a still shot without playing the audio of Lane? First of all, it's like sometimes you go to Florida and the water has too much something in it, and it just your hair doesn't come out as fluffy as usual.
Yeah, our soft water in the shower.
Yeah,
it's just soft water, and you can't get the shampoo out.
Yeah, I don't know why they call it soft water, but You get that look sometimes.
Or he used dry shampoo like chicks do.
Oh, yeah.
And
but
some sun in, too.
But he does not have a little bounce in his hair today. In fact, with his hair like that, I mean, do we owe it to him to send him Dr. B's information? Maybe.
Oh, I don't see that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, in the part right there, it's running away from him a little bit.
I mean that big hair that's grown from the middle, he's flopping it over,
Yeah.
Bama banging it a little bit.
Looks like he's trying to cover up a receding hairline on one side, right?
Absolutely, it does. I'm just saying, maybe we should help our buddy Lane out. He needs some help right now. Losing it pretty quick there. Aging fast over there.
That's what happens, Dunaway.
It does. It hits us all. You all will catch up with me eventually. We'll all look the same here in about 20 years.
If we're lucky enough, right?
We'll definitely all look the same in about 50 years. Dust. Lane Kiffin, though, on Pete Golding. What do you think, Lane? You haven't seen this. Brownie's seen this. What you haven't seen?
I
this?
haven't seen it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Well, what do you think he says about Pete Golding?
Pete has got a ton of experience. This guy brings energy. He's won championships. He can recruit. We're more than excited to have Pete join this staff and be part of the Ole Miss family.
I think he's going to do his normal Nick Saban kiss up. Like, look, when you've been a defensive coordinator for Nick Saban, you've worked for the best. If coach trusts him, I trust him. Something along those lines.
Here's Lane Kiffin on Pete Golding being part of his staff now.
I don't think we've gotten the chance to talk to you about Coach Golding yet. How did that decision kind of take shape, and why is he a good fit?
That was really awesome. We're talking about signing day, and you guys talk about stars. That's as 5-star as you can get. And this has nothing to do with that you're beating Alabama and all of that. This is a great coach that everyone that's worked with him has always said from the beginning, even when he was at smaller places before that he was brilliant, upcoming, and Coach Saban even talked about it as one of the best interviews he's ever seen in the first interview when he interviewed him. So just a very unusual situation that someone at the top of their game, you get to come here. So there were, some family things that helped us there with, his wife's family from here. And so that was great. Kind of like in recruiting, there's advantages. So we're really excited for them to come, he and his family to be here, and to really help us, not just on defense schematically, obviously, like he will, but he's been a phenomenal recruiter too, and one that we've had to go against.
Yeah. So I mean, as about as honest as you can give an answer there on Pete Golding, because I know personally I've skirted around a little bit of what he was talking about, the wife's family being from the area, and that's part of the decision for him to go there for personal reasons.
Yeah.
To choose to leave Alabama and go to Ole Miss. I was surprised that Lane went there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly touched on that, right? And that there was a lot of, like you say, kind of off the edge talk about that, and beyond the bounds of what we would normally discuss. I've for whatever reason, I do some interviews over in the state of Mississippi, and what I have found in doing those interviews of late, and I was on with our buddy Richard Cross yesterday, is that Ole Miss fans don't like the way it's being portrayed that Nick Saban was ready to get rid of him. And like Richard was asking me the question, how would you characterize it? Did Saban encourage him to go? Did he not stand in the way? Did he try to keep him? And I've always said, these two things can be true. Ole Miss can be getting a really good defensive coordinator, and Nick Saban could not have stood in his way to leave. I don't think Nick Saban was going to fire Pete Golding. Do you?
I don't know.
No, I don't think he was going to fire him. So, but, I do know that there was a time where I think Steve Sarkisian wanted to hire him at Texas, and Nick Saban convinced him to stay in Tuscaloosa.
Now, we'll say Saban might have helped pay for his move.
I mean, again, and as I told Richard, look, I mean, you could look like an idiot saying what Nick Saban was thinking, right? He's a pretty closed book on stuff like that. But I think both could be true. Alabama fans could be excited about losing him, and Ole Miss fans excited about getting him. Those things don't have to be mutually exclusive.
I was checking real quick. Tyler in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room says, "Hey, Jim, how about my Lane Kiffin source?" I was just checking to see if I'd gotten a text from Tyler, if he was giving me some inside information, but no text, Tyler. Did I miss something? Send it to me again. I'd love to see it. Interesting, though, on Pete Golding, 5-star recruit on signing day in Lane's words, and that is a interesting scenario going into next year, what they end up getting. What are you saying?
Carson over in the Vulcan Tire and Automotive chat room is true. has family there. Geez, it's a couple-hour drive. It's not like she's from Oregon. It is true. I mean, what is that? What is that drive? It's really 2 hours from Tuscaloosa to Oxford.
Probably about 3.5.
Oh, no, not from Tuscaloosa. I don't think the Oxford.
Oh, 3.5 from here.
Oh, from here, yeah.
So it'd be 2.5 from there. Yeah. It's not like it's Starkville, where it's just down the street. Meemaw and Pawpaw can live in Starkville, and you see them every day.
I mean, look, I think it was a mutual decision, obviously, between Golding and Saban, because you don't leave Tuscaloosa to go to Oxford.
That's what Carson says. Not when you're at the top of your game, but he's at Ole Miss now, and here's an opportunity now. Pete Golding, who's done it at the highest level, to sort of be out of that pressure cooker a little bit, right? You're not on Nick Saban's staff. You're not a defensive coordinator under one of the better defensive coordinators ever to do it in football. You're on an offensive head coach's staff where he's going to let you have the reins of the defense. It's a chance for Pete Golding to go, whew.
Yeah, look, there's not a lot of expectation.
I can be my own guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think the best moment I remember Ole Miss defensive-wise last year was when they forced a second fumble out of Will Levis, and everybody went nuts.
Yeah,
and that was shutting down Kentucky's offense in the red zone.
And you fired that guy right there.